We're talking high school curriculum, and you can do this. Hey everybody, it's Amanda from the Bealles, and the Bealles, of course, are my family. And today I am sharing with you the very last video in my Getting Started with Homeschooling series. And I'm going to talk to you about high school curriculum. Now, yesterday I shared with you how we homeschool high school and they graduate early, but today I'm going to give you specific curriculum recommendations and talk to you about how you can actually use these books and homeschool your high schooler well. So anyway, that being said, I've talked to you about early childhood education, where we really emphasized children being, active and focusing on play and not very much structured education. And then elementary grades, you kind of move into more structure because they got to get used to that, get disciplined. And then by the time you get to middle grades, you're kind of going away from structure into self-motivated learning. And so all of high school should be mostly self-motivated learning. By this point, your high schooler should really understand what they're doing and have their own motivation for succeeding and doing well in the future. With that being said, I can't recommend any complete high school curriculum because each child is unique and they have their own interests, and the things that they're going to want to study in college are completely different from what your other child is probably going to study. So even though they have some of the same basic requirements, you really want to try at this point to start tailoring all of their curriculum towards their future. So I'm not going to recommend any complete box curriculum, and I hope that you will really look at each of your children individually and each course individually to make sure that it's going to meet their specific needs. With that being said, I do have some recommendations. High school is really a time to take an honest look at your child's gifts and interests and try to point them into the direction that they're going to be heading in the future. So even though I said before that I don't recommend technology for elementary and middle school grades, in high school it's imperative. They're going to have to start working with it, making sure they understand how to use, Microsoft Office and all of those basic things they're going to be encountering in college. So definitely start involving it now if you haven't. We're just going to use it as a tool, but hopefully it won't be the emphasis of their life. I still want to encourage you also to read aloud to your child daily, even at the high school age. Although at high school age, they probably could read aloud to you, and you guys might enjoy listening to some audiobooks together. But the goal is that they continue to love learning and continue to love reading, because that's the kind of skill that's going to take them to success in the future. So without further ado, I'm going to tell you all of my recommendations, and we are going to start, as usual, with English. I really like Rod and Staff English. I've mentioned in every single one of the other videos. And my favorite years for Rod and Staff, I really like their 5th grade, which I think, frankly, Rod and Staff 5th grade could be used as a high school curriculum. But Rod and Staff only goes through 10th grade. Their 9th and 10th grade curriculum are excellent. Excellent. And I love them. And I highly recommend them. But as your child moves on, they need some other books probably for 11th and 12th grade in order to graduate. And at that point, I recommend Abeka. They really have to have a simplistic look at grammar. It's just kind of a review. Your child should be completely functional in their grammar and composition by that point. So I recommend Abeka for 11th and 12th grade. Again, I mentioned before that my son took the CLEP exams, which is college level exams. Give them college credit for already understanding college level courses. Brian is my only son who took the CLEP exams. But with this exact curriculum, he was able to actually go in and take a test with the CLEP exam and earn 6 college credits. That's 2 classes. That's an entire year of college English. So this is definitely going to prepare your child, and it's not going to overtax you. I do want to mention that Rod and Staff, again, is a Mennonite curriculum. So it's very simplistic. There's not really worksheets. You have a book, and it's got, the lesson that you're going to do, and then questions, and you have your own notebook paper to write the answers. But it is thorough, it does the job, and you can definitely get a complete education from what I just laid out. With math, I again recommend Bob Jones University or Abeka. Those are some basic curriculum that anybody could use, but if you need some assistance, especially with high school math, a lot of my homeschool friends have really enjoyed, and I've seen it, and it works, teaching textbooks. It's great, it's not terribly expensive, and your children can go online and learn some of the concepts that you might find challenging. I also want to encourage you, don't feel like it's impossible to teach your child math. Get a tutor. Look on YouTube, there's a lot of videos that might teach it in a different way, but expand your thinking as far as it comes to math. And if you haven't already watched my video yesterday about how I homeschool high school and graduate my children early, go watch that, because I go into math a little bit there and just try to encourage you that you don't need to get your child up to calculus, okay? Keep it simple. But also Saxon. I do want to throw Saxon out there. My oldest son loves Saxon, continued to study Saxon after he graduated, taught himself all the way up through calculus. Again, that is a God-given gift that did not come from me, but he loves it, and so I want to share it, because if you have a child who's gifted in that way, they might enjoy that as well. So Saxon is another recommendation. Science, Apologia. Apologia is also very thorough and also is a CLEP prep course. So especially, I remember their biology in particular, it has definitely been used before to help children get CLEP exam credits in biology. So I think Apologia is excellent. I've recommended it from beginning to end. I can't recommend it any more highly. Apologia is excellent science. Look no further. And the other great benefit is it also is developed with the idea of multiple grades in mind. Now, the high school level is far more challenging. You can probably lower the level a little bit for younger children, but at your high school level, you really should have your high schooler working through this on their own. So you can be busy about your middle grades and younger children if you have them. So, Apologia. You want all of them. Honestly, like my kids are graduated. I still want all the Apologia books in my house. They're great books. Social Studies. Again, Bob Jones University Press and Abeka. I'm going to have links for all of these down in the description box, by the way. Some of them will be Amazon affiliate links. Some of them won't. You can use them if you like or not. It's not going to cost you anything, but it just helps support our channel. But Social Studies, we used, I think, mostly Abeka, but some BJU. And again, Brian did get take a CLEP exam, and he got credit for history. He could have actually gotten credit for multiple, but the college that he went to only allowed so many credits. And so he just took the one that he thought was easiest, and I think it was U.S. history. I know that it works. You can get college credit if you study it and you know it well. So BJU and Abeka, highly recommended. Again, music and art, by the time you get to high school. Again, I definitely say for music, lessons. Keep them in lessons all throughout. Music lessons are so important. But art, my younger son, I think, one of these kids, was an artist, and Ricky actually went to college for art and got a degree in advertising and graphic design. And when he was in high school, he would work hours every day on art because he was so dedicated to it and he loved it. So if your child is really interested in art as a subject, then definitely they can be on their own, literally with some YouTube videos and doing art, and you can keep records of it, and it'll work perfectly fine, or it should work perfectly fine. With your state requirements. Again, check with your state requirements, know them backwards and forwards, and make sure you're complying with them. That's totally your responsibility. But where we are, it was more than sufficient. He was well prepared to study art in college. So just a side note there, self-directed learning is excellent for music and art. Same with PE. Usually at the high school level, PE and health, if it's required, is usually only required 1 credit. Again, we did it with our group and our co-op, and you want to be, at this point, teaching your child, like I said, in the middle grades, to be self-directed in terms of their personal health and well-being. So they should understand how to eat healthy, all the nutrition, make sure that they have a regular program in order to stay physically healthy and fit, and that they're out active, maybe they're at the gym. So it's not so much about the grades here, it's really about raising and training children into be capable and functioning adults. And if you need to keep records for credit, you certainly can do that, but you don't necessarily have to have books in order to do that. So if I do need to recommend one book, I would recommend the Abeka Health books for the high school level. I think that they're very thorough, and certainly they talk about physical education in that as well. Usually in high school, it's half a credit health, half a credit PE. So however your state requires it, but that is what I recommend for PE and health at the high school level. Reading and literature. Again, I prefer this to be self-directed personally. We did American history, English history, and world history, generally speaking, and our children just studied literature, and that was, you know, something we did and we talked about, and I love classic literature, so it's just something we enjoy in our household. And again, we're reading aloud every day, so they should be getting plenty of literature. But again, Brian took a CLEP exam and was able to get a credit in literature. So he actually, because literature and English and the college that he went to, he was required 4 English credits for graduation. And just by completing 2 CLEP exams, he took 3 of those courses. So he only had to take 1 course at college level, which is why he graduated with an associate's degree, which is a 2-year degree, in 1 year. those tests really helped. So I'm just saying, just reading classic literature is sufficient, but you just want to make sure they have an understanding of it, that you're discussing it, that you're asking questions. If you need to keep records for grades, you're going to be keeping records of that. If you want to do learning language arts through literature, again, I think that's an excellent option, but just a self-directed course would work as well. Bible, in a very similar manner. You'll notice that as we get through high school, I'm really focused on self-directed. I want them to be able to read on their own for enjoyment. I want them to be able to study on their own for enjoyment. I want them to study their Bible on their own for their enjoyment, for the betterment of their health. I want them to be able to be physically fit on their own. At the high school level, they should understand this. So Bible, I definitely recommend just a personal Bible study, but if they really need a book, Abeka and Bob Jones have really great high school level courses that I would recommend that are inexpensive and do a good job. Foreign language. A lot of the children that I knew at the high school level used Rosetta Stone, but now there's so many more online curriculum. You don't really have to feel like you need to get any of those. In terms of books, if you really want one, Abeka has a great Spanish curriculum. Bob Jones has a great French curriculum. We did a biblical Hebrew curriculum. It's Introducing Biblical Hebrew by Alan Ross. Again, I'll have that link below. And that was really helpful to us. We loved learning Hebrew. So I'm just going to throw that out there as an option. Now I'm going to tell you about some electives, because everybody gets scared of electives in high school. So these are electives that we used that we thought were very good. And the first few have to do with business. First of all, we do business math as our fourth math every year. That's not really an elective, that's a fourth math. We liked ACE PACES, and we also liked Abeka. One of my kids really liked ACE PACES because they had like 12 individual workbooks that they worked through, and they felt comfortable with that. And the other one thought the 12 workbooks was overwhelming, and they preferred just one workbook, in which case Abeka worked. But either way, they were both very good and did the job. We also had a course on record keeping and accounting. And so there are two books that went along with that course that we got through Rod and staff. One of them is called Record Keeping for Christian Stewardship, and the other is called Practical Accounting Fundamentals by Lori Peterman. And so Brian actually went to college for business administration with a concentration in entrepreneurship and a minor in business law. And he said these books prepared him very well for all of the accounting courses that he had to take in college. In fact, he said some of them were actually more challenging than his college level courses. So a side note, these again are by Rod and Staff, which is a Mennonite curriculum. And so it's not exciting, you know, but not that record keeping and accounting is necessarily exciting, but it's not colorful pictures. It's a black and white kind of book, but it does the job. It's excellent in what it does. So, and it's inexpensive as well. So if you're looking for a business elective, these might work for you. Another one that we really enjoyed was Home Economics from Christian Light Education. Again, this one also had little workbooks that we worked through. And frankly, I liked working through these workbooks with the kids because I remember there are a lot of things that I learned. I've been a homemaking mom for years, but I had never actually, I remember one of the assignments was to take out the handbook that came with your stove, and I think even a microwave if you had it. And you were supposed to learn all the things in the handbook, you know, about how often it was supposed to be cleaned and how it was supposed to be cleaned. And all of a sudden I'm like, looking at it like, wow, I never even looked at that. So I actually learned a lot just by going through the home ec curriculum. So I highly recommend it. It's not terribly expensive. And frankly, I think every child should go through it because again, the goal is whole, happy, healthy children. And we're preparing them for adulthood. They all should know how to work their stove and clean it and, you know, the refrigerator, all of the appliances, make sure they can cook for themselves. It even has a little sewing thing and all excellent things that every child really should know how to do. And so those are some of the electives that I recommend. And that is it. That is it for my high school recommendations. High school is not as complicated as people make it out to be. You just have to go through all the different credits that are required and check off your boxes, take your tests, and when you're done, you're done. High school is over, and before you know it, they're all done with homeschool, and here you are. So that is it. Let me know if you have any questions, if I can help you in any way. Like I said, this is my last video, so if there's anything else you'd like me to do a video on, let me know, and I'm here for you. So I hope you guys will follow me at the Bealles on Facebook and Instagram, and also take a peek at our website. It's brand new at thebealles.com. And I'm very excited to be out here sharing with you guys. So anyway, that's it. You all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.